fact that
I
the
like
biggest ones can weigh
turtles.
200.
Alright, bruh. Hey, we gotta... Why honey badgers don't fear God or lions. Fucking hood nature, baby. Let's go. Let's get right into it. At this moment, he knew he fucked up, bro.
Honey badgers are the most disrespectful force in nature, and that's putting them over orcas. Because at least when an orca shot puts a seal, you can argue it's just testing a new hunting strategy. But honey badgers will look for negativity in situations where they have nothing to gain. Why would a honey badger test an oryx 10 times its size, get launched only to immediately do it again? Because honey badgers come into the world deciding they don't want peace, they want problems.
What?
They don't want compromise, they seek
Hello?
conflict. If
What
orcas are
the
homicidal
fuck?
sea Oreos, then honey badgers are double stuffed with audacity. If I ever make a list of the top 5 animals with black Air Force energy, honey badgers would be a first ballot choice. But like any kid that acts out in school, to really understand just what makes a honey badger such a one-man hate campaign, you gotta look at its family. When you talk about mammalian carnivores, you can really simplify it into 2 classes, Team Cat and Team Dog.
Team
Cat would be
Dog,
feliform, which translates to cat-like carnivores, which would obviously include wild cats, but also cats that aren't really cats like hyenas, mongooses like a meerkat, and a bunch of
If we're
other
talking
animals
about
you've probably never heard of.
wildcats are way more badass than
On
like
the other
wolves.
side is
Wolves are
caniformia,
dope
which are the
though.
dog-like carnivores.
Wolves are dope,
This
bro.
includes dogs, wild, unhinged dogs, dogs on steroids, smaller but more street-smart dogs, and a special group of water dogs that decided they had enough of the nonsense and disrespect of the dirt world and were going to take their chances out in the ocean.
Damn, okay.
Have been varied. But you
Some
also have
water
another family
dogs,
known
bruh?
as the Mustelidae
I didn't
squad,
even
and they
know.
were kind of in a weird spot. They weren't the biggest, definitely weren't the fastest, not the smartest, and for the most part they're solitary, meaning they rarely have a numbers advantage. So their only real option was to overcompensate the way anyone that overmatched would, with violence and borderline crackhead courage. If mustelids like honey badgers ran in groups, they probably wouldn't need the personality of a power tool to survive. Because gang violence may be unethical, but in the wild, it's a way of life. It's the reason African wild dogs are one of the most efficient groups at canceling life subscriptions. Because team play is high-key underrated. Ants are probably the best social insects in the game.
Underrated.
It's almost scary how well they work together. Led by a queen who can almost check in at the same weight class as a mouse, ant society is built on a hierarchy where everyone has a job.
Same weight class
Female
as a
ants are
mouse.
workers who have
Hello?
tasks such as cleaning the eggs and feeding the larvae. Queen ant's job is to supply the ant census with new bodies by constantly spawning eggs, and some species can spit out over 800 in one day. Male ants have one job, and it's to supply the queen with baby batter and then exit the census once they fulfill that purpose. They have no rights, no free will, they're basically walking ejac packets. And if you ever wanted to know just what ant society is like, the Ants Underground Kingdom is a simulation strategy game with millions of players already online. You can hatch and develop your own ant army, including rare ones like the Banshee ant.
And we got just like that. Very smooth transition. Good shit. Good. Well played. Well played on the transition, man. Very well played.
If you're a honey badger, the strongest army is always an army of one. Honey badgers could be the mascots of Miralax because they don't ever give them, they just take them. And when I say it runs in a family, you can tell the honey badger took something from all of their cousins and made it theirs. We're gonna get to those cousins, don't worry.
Wait,
but
what?
first we gotta talk about what makes honey badgers such a middle finger to the natural. Versus the fact
An
that
otter
they're
is
indestructible,
one
but
of
damn it,
the
they're pretty close.
one of their
Honey
cousins,
badger's
right?
skin is
Has
tough
to be.
and resilient, able to withstand bee stings, snake bites, and brutal maulings that would certainly be a game over for other animals. You could even come at a honey badger with a machete, and it could still probably Eurostep any serious injury.
Bro,
There's even
what?
reports of
How?
steroid skunks taking
Hello?
out African-crested porcupines. The same ones that have about 30,000 good reasons why testing them could be really bad for your health. In really rare occasions, porcupines have crippled the top-tier lions so badly that hunting humans was their only option. In 1965, after a lion nicknamed the Man-Eater of Darajani was finally passed,
The Man-Eater? Hello?
by a blade beetle, one of the quills being lodged in its fractured teeth and another one nearly piercing its brain. Maimed and out of options, a starving lion put at least one Kenyan on a t-shirt. That's the kind of carnage porcupines are capable of, yet honey badgers can often survive an encounter with one thanks to their tough skin. The same reason they can square up with snakes and then live to try again.
A
Honey badgers
python?
are amazing.
Imagine?
They turn deadly serpents like the puff adder and even the black mamba into a purse.
No
The
shot.
misconception, though, is that honey badgers are immune to snake venom. They're not immune. They're much more resistant than other animals, but enough penetrating bites can flatline even a honey badger. But usually if a honey badger is wounded by a venomous snake, it'll just pass out in an almost coma-like state, only to get up a few
It'll
hours
just
later
pass
and walk around
out?
like a Sunday morning hangover.
Bro,
Another
what?
fact is that not only
Hello?
is honey badger skin tough, it's incredibly loose, especially around the neck. So if one's ever being mauled by a big cat, this walking cigar can turn around while being attacked and deliver smoke directly to the face. Honey badgers are furry Duracells, and anything short of a round directly to the skull isn't guaranteed to kill them. This durability is why honey badgers are either brave enough or stupid enough to blatantly steal from top predators, and they usually target leopards. Unlike lions and hyenas, leopards are solitary assassins that hide their prizes high up in the branches where they can't get their pockets picked. The food may be safe from lions, but they're not safe from a malicious equality symbol with nothing to lose. Honey badgers will risk it all by attempting to steal from a leopard by climbing a tree once it steps away from its meal.
Damn, it's about
If the honey
half its
badger
size,
responds
though.
back, it'll throw a loud temper tantrum, hissing and screaming as it backs away. A method I'm sure they got from their close cousin, the Wolverine. The Wolverine is a honey badger on Pleiades, built for the freezing tundra of the north. And even though they're roughly in the same weight class as a medium-sized dog, tankier predators like bears and mountain lions will occasionally pay food taxes to this walking vibe check. But the thing with Wolverines is, they have the strength and speed to catch their own bodies.
Is that a
Wolverines
head?
will stalk
That
up
was a
prey
head!
for hours,
Bruh.
even days, and there have been reports of Wolverines posting up in trees just so they can wait for the right moment to pounce. But why waste the energy or calories doing that when you can just pickpocket a grizzly?
Look at that
or
motherfucker
catch a
fighting them
few wolves?
both!
And just like the
That
honey
reminded me
badger,
of, like, the
Wolverines will
Transformer
attack
scene
anything
with
a
Optimus
difference is they have
Prime.
the tools to actually stop it. One Wolverine put a polar bear in a headline after clamping its vice grip jaws around the struggling bear's throat until it suffocated. There have even been reports of a Wolverine dropping a female moose by ripping at its shoulder blades until it eventually tapped out. In comparison, honey badgers have allegedly KO'd units like the Cape Buffalo and water buck. Except the honey badger's methods are different. Wolverines are little man syndrome but with bear trap jaws.
Oh my fucking god, I was about to say, I was literally about to say how, but oh my, I can't unsee that. That was fucked up. That was fucked up. Wow. Holy shit.
Meaning they can easily eat a grizzly bear's leftovers even if it's half frozen. That dental plan is why a Wolverine will eat every part of an animal right down to the bones. Honey badgers don't have nearly that kind of power, but these prison-striped weasels do pack a nasty bite, and they've been seen tearing into tortoises. Wolverines have one more
tortoises,
secret, that they smell really, really foul. Not only will they use the power of liquid booty as a threat, they'll spray the scent over any food they find to make sure no one else touches it. Which is why the Wolverine is also nicknamed the skunk bear. Honey badgers
the
also
skunk bear? Ew.
When threatened or just annoyed, the honey badger will reverse its anus inside out and release a liquid so vile it can suffocate anything near it. In fact, the smell is so offensive it can temporarily paralyze attacking bees. It's not hard to see how the skunk bear and the felony ferret pull up to the same family reunion. But you can RSVP the otter to the same function.
The
Otters
otter, I
are considered
called
the most
it!
intelligent of all mustelids, and they're a part of the rare group of animals that are able to create and use tools.
Otters are fucking vicious. They're cute, but holy shit, they're vicious.
The CIA allegedly tried to weaponize them. I actually made a video on this in an otter report that was created on my TikTok, so definitely go check that out. They're also an anomaly in that they're one of the rare social mustelids, which should give you mixed feelings. Because yes, sea otters will hold hands while sleeping so they don't float away. Despite my lack of emotion, I find that adorable. But otters, especially river otters,
find that adorable.
Anything that enters their territory, from caiman to jaguars to idiots with iPhones. If you want your idea of otters to be completely slaughtered in 10 seconds, Google otter and attack and count how many articles you get.
Oh no.
20 nearly took a man out to Singapore.
He said articles.
A group of rogue otters drowned a woman's beloved dog as she could only watch. Once upon a time, a monkey wandered into the otter hood of the Bronx Zoo, and the outnumbered monkey paid the toll for his transgressions with his soul. That's really only scratching the surface. I already have an entire video dedicated to the carnage society lets otters get away with, but one fact should really hammer the point home. Sea otters have a violent mating ritual that involves biting his partner's nose pad so hard that he can tear it off while occasionally holding her head underwater. That is not the disturbing part, because frustrated male otters that couldn't find a mate will resort to taking their lack of options out on baby seals. Something they'll continue to do for up to a week, even after the seal's soul has already evacuated. I mean that in the worst possible way. So in a weird twist, out of these three, otters might have the lowest morality, but to compensate, they have the highest intelligence. Don't think honey badgers are just some crayon eaters. They're incredibly smart too. Like the kind of smart that would make them high-class criminals.
He said, don't think there's some crayon eaters.
A box of food that was hanging from the branch of a tree. But what would have been a dead end for most animals was only a challenge for him. After a few seconds to carefully weigh his options, the honey badger proceeded to push his crate closer to the hanging box, to the point where he could stand on it to claim his prize. It might not seem like much, but being able to figure this out automatically puts honey badgers in the highest percentile when it comes to animal intelligence. But the best example would be this little guy named Stoffel. Stoffel was a well-known escape artist that would find some of the most creative ways to end his bondage. In one of his many escapes, Stoffel noticed a broom that had been left near him, dragged it over to one of the corners of his enclosure, leaned it against the wall, and then used it to emancipate himself.
No shot!
They tested his skills with a
Fuck
gate,
this
and
shit, he's out.
managed to undo the latches of the lock. They then put him in a cell surrounded by cement walls. Take a wild guess what this little weasel did. Stoffel dug up a bunch of rocks, and when he had enough, he piled them in a corner and Andy Dufresne himself. One night, his caretaker awoke to a burglar
Yo,
in his
what
home
the
at
fuck?
1 a.m. You know where I'm going with this. Stoffel escaped again, only this time he broke into the farmer's house and even tried to get into his bedroom. And you want to know the most disrespectful part of it all? Stoffel was hand-raised by humans at a young age and imprinted on him. Meaning Stoffel had no intention of actually escaping. Nah, he was just doing it for the sport and for all the memes. And we know that because Stoffel would allow himself to be caught and return back to his enclosure just so he could figure out another way to make his caretakers earn their pay. Breaking into the farmer's house past midnight was just grade A trolling. And of course, it would be criminal to not mention that time Stoffel escaped his enclosure and entered the lion's den where he was nearly brutally mauled to death. After he recovered, the first thing Stoffel did fresh out was try to find a way back to the lions to settle the score. Stoffel would also regularly go to the lodge kitchen where he would harass staff and help himself to any food he could find. They eventually gave him a lady badger thinking that would help him calm down. What they really did was introduce the Bonnie to his Clyde as they would now try to escape together.
No
shot! Honey badgers have relatively large brains and
yo,
they make
no
it
shot, bruh.
But there's one more thing about
literal
them that really
5
makes them a
heads.
menace to society, and for that you have to look at its third cousin, the Stoat.
Oh, the
Stoat is one of
fucking
the smallest
Stoat,
of all
yeah.
monsters, yet they regularly
This
put
thing
prey
is
10 times the size of the
badass.
commission. They do this by relentlessly chasing their prey, which are usually rabbits, until the prey eventually drops to exhaustion. Only then will the Stoat deliver a devastating bite to the back of the skull. And once a Stoat locks in on its target, there isn't a force in nature that can stop it. The Stoat is so hyper-fixated that it'll even ignore rabbits that might be closer just so they can commit to pursuing its original target. Determination is not foreign to the honey badger.
Yeah,
The
no
only way a honey
shot.
badger can fend off leopards, hyenas, and even the occasional lion is by constantly squirming, hissing, and biting until the attacker eventually decides it's not worth the calories. Even if they eventually do go out of commission, you can be sure the honey badger did not go quietly. The badger's stubborn nature is probably best summed up when you see what they do for honey.
Bruh,
Honey
this
badgers love
Stoat, that
breaking into
shit's
beehives
funny.
to eat energy-rich honeycombs. Unfortunately, that often means getting a face full of African bees, which are more aggressive and more nasty than their European cousins. But these honey weasels will continue to eat even while being actively swarmed and attacked by bees. And even though they're resistant, they're not 100% immune to bee stings. Honey badgers have been known to keep raiding the same beehive for honey until they eventually get stung to death. But honey badgers
Bro,
don't care.
what?
They live life balls first with no fear of consequences.
Yeah, and they like that honey,
This
bro. They're
willpower
like,
is
it's
how 2 honey
fucking worth
badgers
it.
stepped to 6 young lionesses and still managed to survive. At one point, the honey badger found itself in the jaws of death, only to use its loose skin to turn around and bite the lion back. This
Nice.
leopard tried
Saved.
harassing a young baby badger, only to end up cosplaying as a cheetah once mama badger inserted herself into the conversation. Speaking of cheetahs, honey badgers have such a reputation that it's widely believed that cheetah cubs evolved to mimic their coloring to avoid confrontation with predators. Whole
Damn.
and evolution forced them to impersonate
Damn,
an
look
actual
at that.
bushman just to
Not
get rid of it.
bad.
Hell for cheetahs, but another knock
That's
on the honey
fucking
badger.
filthy.
I say chastity because they don't give a the strength and durability of a Wolverine, the intelligence and morale deficit of an otter, the pure coke-fueled willpower of the Stoat, the honey badger is the only thing alive that can make a bull cut intimidating. And that's
Fuck
gonna do
yeah.
it for this video, which was by far one of my most fun to make. If you want to
Honey
support this
badgers
channel,
are
my
fucking
Patreon's gonna be in
badass,
the
bruh.
description. Also, like the video or sub for a honey badger of a second. Other
Yep.
than that, drink water, hug your parents, happy holidays, and
And subscribe to Casual Geographic, chat. 100%, 100%. What a fucking banger. God damn, what a banger, like always, man. What a banger.